Welcome. Happy Thursday. Uh, Hopefully, you're enjoying some nicer weather. Some people are getting a little bit cooler, but welcome to today's training. We are super excited to have Troy on again, our Rockstar sales executive, and to partner with Old Republic Home Protection as well. We did this, was it last month or 2 months ago now? But it was such a huge hit and obviously another great turnout. So we're very, very excited for you guys to join us today. Before I give it over to Troy, I just want to tell everyone that the September assets, all of the social media assets, the newsletters, all that good stuff is ready to go and loaded in your VIP all access. So if you go to rocuniversity.com, this is where you can go and register for all of our trainings. I actually have the next 3 months of trainings that I'm going to release this week. So that'll be super exciting to see everything that's going to be through the end of the year. But you click on one of these, click register now, and then that's where you can go and register for that class. If you click on VIP All Access, you will be prompted to create a login. It is free to do this, so you don't have to, it's no payment or anything like that. Free to get in there, you get instant access, and when you scroll down, you will see the monthly assets that are loaded. So we have our social media posts here, our newsletters, right, based on whatever state you're in. So all you have to do is click on those. All the templates that we put out are going to be the free version of Canva. You never have to upgrade to the pro there. You're just going to click use template, and then it's going to push it into your Canva accounts. And a real quick trick here is if you do Control F on your keyboard for the find feature, you can type in agent name, right? Because you want to put in your name. And then if you type in your name and replace all, it's going to replace on every single one of those designs. So fully customizable. You can do that for your name, your email, phone number, all that good stuff. But these are ready to go. So again, we try to not just train you on the best strategies, technology, and all the different platforms that we have in our industry, but take off the pain point of the creativity part of what do I even post, right? So you can go through, there's a lot of national holidays and all that good stuff in here that you can take advantage. So again, ROCuniversity.com, VIP All Access. The other thing real quick, just because we surpassed 500 subscribers, I'm going to copy this and put it into the chat box. If you guys can go to our YouTube channel and register or subscribe to that channel, we're at 509. All of our trainings, just like today, are recorded and will be uploaded by tomorrow morning on our YouTube channel. So I'm going to throw this in the chat box. And then, Troy, it is all yours. I think you're...
Yep, I'm good. I'm going to start sharing my screen here.
Perfect.
There we go. Thumbs up. Can you see my screen, everybody? Awesome. Perfect. Okay. So let's go ahead and get going. We have a lot of information to cover. First of all, my name is Troy. I'm with ROC Title. ROC actually stands for Ready, Open, Close. So like Justin said, we help you get ready when it comes to advertising. We help you get ready when it comes to negotiating. And we have some of the amazing tools that help you get ready when it comes to farming, net sheets that we co-brand with you. So we're always trying to give you the greatest and the best and the newest. And Justin is actually the one who leads that charge. I call him my tech ninja. So he's a great resource. But if you notice also on my screen, we have some special guests. So we have quite a few of our special VIP guests from Old Republic Home Protection. And I do know that Tara Carter's on. She covers the Scottsdale area. I've known Tara since probably 2001, 2002. Same as Wendy Mueller, who's going to be actually hosting with myself. Same thing. I've known her for a very long time, close friend of mine. We have Stacia from Las Vegas, also Kim. So we have quite a few of our Old Republic reps on, and a few also reps from ROC Title in the Vegas and also Arizona area. So I just want to give a shout out to our Old Republic reps. They are definitely rock stars. I started in home warranty in 1995 before there was actually Old Republic in Arizona, but a lot of these reps joined and have really built a name for themselves and really helped grow Old Republic from the ground up in Arizona. So we have a lot of experience here tied up in this class today, and it can be very, very helpful, and that's really what we want. So let's go ahead and we're going to get started. The first thing we're going to do is, they always say put your phone away when you are teaching a class, but I'm going to say bring your phone out because I'm going to show you a free app that is awesome, especially for real estate agents. This is actually designed for your inspectors, but it has a section on there that can tell you how old an HVAC system is. So I'm going to show you how to use that app. So this is what it looks like in the App Store if you're using an iPhone. And if you are one of those few people that use Android, guess what? We have that as well. So this is what it looks like on your Google Play Store. So if you want to download that, again, it's called Inspection HVAC Calculator, or IN, which stands for Inspection Nation HVAC Calculator. And we'll go back to that too as we get a little bit closer on to that. So just a little backstory on myself. You can see me all geared up here. So as I mentioned, I actually started in home warranty in 1995 in Los Angeles County. And then in 2007 to 2009, I actually did home warranty in Texas. Then after 2009, my wife and I moved to Costa Rica. We spent 2 years down there on a coffee farm. But when I moved back from where I'm from, and this is why I have an accent, to Canada. And they don't have home warranty there. So I actually worked for a friend of mine who actually had an HVAC company. So I became the estimator. I'd have to actually design the systems. I'd have to look at the systems, you know, run the crews. And it was a great learning experience for me. They say sales is sales, but there's always a learning curve. And this was a steep learning curve. But when I decided that this was really not for me, 2 reasons. My wife didn't want to live forever in Canada. But the second reason is I didn't want to go where everything creeps, crawls, and slithers. I decided, okay, it's time for me to come back to what I'm accustomed to. And that at the time was home warranty. So I ended up in North Carolina for the past 10 years before moving to Arizona recently and joining ROC Title. So I was with Old Republic Home Warranty for about 20 years. But this 3 years crash course really helped me and my agents. And this is why I created this class. Because when I would get a phone call from an agent saying, hey, Troy, I want to do a warranty. Which one should I get? I say, well, tell me about the HVAC. How old is it? Does it have R22 or 410A refrigerant? And the response was this, Troy, I really can't tell you anything. So it's my mission to change that for you because I do believe that knowledge is power and it does really help all of us when it comes to negotiations. So we're going to keep pretty much the chat going. Justin, if you can make sure everybody stays muted and if you can track the chat, if something does come up, since I'm only running off of one screen currently, let me know. But there is one thing I really want to share. This class has changed drastically over the years. I've taught this to literally thousands upon thousands of agents, but it's your question. So they say the only bad question is which question is the one you don't ask. So if you have a question, don't start it with, this is a dumb question. It's not, because I need to know kind of what you're looking at, what you're dealing with so that we can address it. And sometimes we can do it right there on the fly. So if a question pops in the box, Justin, just let me know. If it's something we'll discuss a little later on, then obviously I'll bring it up then. And as I mentioned, there's going to be a couple sections here where we're going to have home warranty because home warranty is an essential part of the transaction. As I mentioned, ROC stands for ready, open, close. Ready is my job. I get you ready to actually open escrows. That's your job as real estate professionals. And then my escrow officers, and I have to say, we're the #1 rated escrow and title company in all of the Prescott, Coconino, and Yavapai County. They do the closing, but after that close, after that C, you have to have a really good partner, and that's where Old Republic comes in, because they're the ones who are going to be covering you and helping you out in the weeks and months and the full year after that close. So I have Wendy on, and so she's going to answer some questions that we have in regards to warranty as well. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how to identify systems. We're going to get into what's a split system, what's a gas pack, and what's a ductless mini split. So these are just basically not the minutia, things that can help you out in the field. So let's talk about the most common system. This is called the split system. And so there's an easy way to identify a split system and a hard way. So let's talk about the hard way. This is what I don't recommend. A split system is split apart. So you actually have a unit on the outside and you have a unit on the inside. Now the unit on the inside, a furnace or air handler, can be found maybe in the attic, down in a crawl space, in a creepy basement, in a closet, maybe a garage. So if you want, as a real estate professional, you can go through that house and try to find it. But I say that's kind of hard. The easiest way is just go outside, and if you just quickly look at the units, and if you notice the example here, there's space between the main wall of the home and the unit stands apart from the home. That right there tells you it's a split system. And what the dead giveaway is that black sponge, that's called Armaflex. That's actually the insulation that's covering the copper lines. So those copper lines are going somewhere in the home. It could go to the attic, it could go down into a basement, or it could go into a closet, but that tells you right then and there that this is a split system. And this system can be what's called a straight cool or an air conditioner or a heat pump. And I teach a heating class, we get more into that, but we might as well talk about this right now. What's the difference between an air conditioner and a heat pump? An air conditioner runs in only forward motion. So in the summertime, it kicks on, it's putting air conditioning in the home. You go outside, you put your hand over top of that unit, and what do you feel? Hot air. That hot air is actually coming from inside your home, it's pulling it out. The absence of the heat is cold air, so that's how it works. A heat pump is like a yin-yang system. It runs forward and backwards. So in the summertime, yes, it's going to give you air conditioning. Wintertime, it's running backwards, so it's actually collecting heat from outside, putting it inside your home. If you go outside and a heat pump's running in the wintertime, put your hand over top, it's air conditioning. So it's just, again, a yin and yang system. So again, heat pumps will come in a split system, or it can be a straight cool. And I'm going to show you how to identify those moving forward here a little bit later. So if you had X-ray vision as a real estate professional and you could follow those copper lines, it would actually go through the wall and it would connect to the top of the furnace. It could be straight up or horizontal. But what it's connecting to is what's called the A coil. And that's really what creates all the magic. It flows all that cold refrigerant through the coil. The warm air hits it, and two things happen. Obviously, it cools the air, but it grabs the moisture, the humidity, and that trickles down that A-frame into the pan. And if you see that little orange dot, that's where that white pipe connects to. It's called the condensation line, and that's what's dripping the water, because as it's basically cooling, it's condensing, and then the water's leaving the home. And that's basically as much as we're going to get into when it comes to air conditioning. So that's a split system. Any questions on that so far? If not, then we're going to continue on to another system, which is called a gas pack. It's actually a package unit. So I'm going to give you two examples. Up here in Northern Arizona, this is a more common system, and I like this as an example because it really helps you to see the difference between a split system and a package unit. So this is an example on the left of a gas pack, but if you notice now where the arrow is, there's a different relationship between the home and the unit. And we notice it's actually connected. There's sheet metal connecting the unit to the home. So when you see a large unit and it's connected to the home, there's no separation, that's telling you that that's going to be a package unit. Now they call it a gas pack normally because gas stands for the heating portion. So it's going to use either natural gas or propane. So this is a sample of natural gas. You can see the hard gas line coming out and that yellow shutoff valve. They also come as heat pumps as well. And I'll show you an example of that a little bit later on. But they're getting better at labeling and coloring properly these heat pumps and these gas packs. So if you know in the industry, call before you dig, every color corresponds to a major utility. So yellow is typically going to be your gas line. Blue is going to be your water. If you see green, that's going to be sewage. If you see red, that's going to be like your spark light or coax of some sort like Google Fiber. And then white is electricity. So if you notice here, we actually have a yellow shutoff valve, and that basically shows you that this is going to be a gas pack. So next to it, if you notice, I think I lost my sound. So can you still hear me, Justin? Okay, let's see here. Sorry. Let me just switch over here.
That should actually be good, right? You can hear, Justin, you're muted. Can I hear?
Yeah. No, we can hear you now. That's much better.
Sorry, these things died. I was wondering what was making that weird noise. So, all right, so next to it is actually a package heat pump, okay? So these will come in either a gas pack or a package heat pump. Sometimes in the warranty industry, agents are concerned because they'll say, well, Troy, I don't think you cover this system. It's called a gas pack, and it says that you don't cover gas air conditioners. That's not what we're talking about. A gas air conditioner is a funky system that pretty much doesn't exist, that you build when you want to basically be a prepper out in the middle of nowhere and you have no electricity. So you're always going to have your air conditioning side of a gas pack, and that's going to run off electricity. It's just that when you say gas pack, the gas is the heating side of it. But let me show you another common one, and this is going to be something I think we're more familiar with, especially in like the Phoenix, Vegas, Tucson areas. And that's going to be when we put that big, huge gas pack on the roof. So again, we know this is a package unit because of the correlation between the home and the unit. And this is sitting on what they call a stand, a jack stand, or a curb. And we notice again that yellow line, right? So that yellow line with the red shutoff valve, that's telling you right there that this is natural gas that's running the heating portion of it. And if you did a breakaway, we can see that, you know, here's your compressor. If you look in behind this white thing, which is your blower, that's that same A coil. And then on the far right, we have our heat exchanger. And in the heating class, I'll talk about that a little bit more, what it looks like when it cracks, and how you can protect your clients. But this is another sample, and this is when they put it on the roof. So typically the difference is when you see these, why is it on a roof? Why is it on a ground? Well, it's on a roof when a home is typically slab on grade. So if a home is raised foundation or on a basement, then they'll put it on the ground, and that's why you saw that other sample. But why all this sheet metal? Well, you have soft ductwork connecting to this unit. So that sheet metal is really designed to keep the rodents out, because imagine if you didn't put that sheet metal around there, man, the mice, the raccoons, whatever, they would chew through that thing in no time, and they'd have a beautiful heating and air conditioned space and have full access to your entire home. We don't want that. So that's why they put that sheet metal there. And if you notice, this is what it looks like. So there's your, return, here's your supply, here's that stand. So the unit actually sits on that. But I want to bring Wendy in for a second, because if you notice these gas packs or these package heat pumps, one guy can't climb up a ladder carrying it on his shoulder. So Wendy, can you speak on this picture? What is basically happening, and what type of plan do you want to get to cover the additional costs? Because that's expensive.
Correct. So, obviously you're going to need a crane for that, for this type of unit. So you definitely want at least the ultimate plan, if not the platinum. I mean, the platinum by far is the best. Yeah, you would definitely need a crane, and there's going to be some sheet metal modifications. There's going to be all types of modifications to this unit. And yeah, so go ahead, Troy.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, so you can see that this is actually a crane. You can see the straps. So they're actually lifting it down onto that jack stand or curb. So again, it's good to know what plans offer and what the warranty companies cover, because if you see one of these on the roof, obviously you want to make sure that that's added. It's not much more to buy the warranty plan, but it does cover your clients, and they're happier when they don't realize they just dodged themselves a quite a large financial bullet. So just another example of basically those package units. So here's kind of a quick test. So if anybody wants to put this in the chat, we're looking at two systems. One is a package unit. One is a split system. Again, the split system is separate from the home, has that black sponge material. So the one on the right, the little guy, is that a split system or is that a package unit? Have we been good students so far? I'm going to pull up the chat. I'm seeing it blowing up. All right, excellent. Yes, everybody's saying split. Correct. So that's really a system here that's set up. Sometimes we'll see this again up in northern Arizona. The small little split system probably has the furnace upstairs in a closet or in the attic, is feeding the upper area. That package unit is probably connected, and you have vents in the floors because it's over like a raised foundation, and that's feeding the lower part of the home. So you have two systems. This is helpful because if a inspector goes out and says, you know what, your package unit is shot to your cellar, you know exactly which one they're talking about, because this is the package, this is the split. But I like this picture because we're going to talk a little bit of pros and cons real briefly, and then we're going to ask Wendy a few questions about these as well. So what is the pro to a package unit? So there's two. One is not as expensive to replace as a split system. And two, if it ever springs a leak in the condensation line, it actually won't leak in the home. And that's it. Everything else is basically a negative. They don't last as long. The life expectancy a lot of times is 8 to 12 years. And one of the reasons why is if a part fails and that part is no longer made, you have to replace the whole system. Whereas a split system is, one, more expensive to install, yes. But if the outside unit fails, you can replace the outside unit and it can still work with the inside equipment. Or if a part fails, you're just working with basically 3 components instead of everything packaged together. Now, the other downside to this big package unit, just so you know, they're not very energy efficient. And every year it seems like the federal government keeps on raising that standard. My understanding and what I've been told is the maximum is 16 SEER. And we're going to talk about the federal mandates now. We're just about pushing their max efficiency. So if they can't hit that efficiency, either they'll be grandfathered in or we're not going to be able to use them in the future. So just keep that in mind. The most efficient systems out there are those split systems. So with that in mind, just again, home warranty pro tip, Wendy, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do warranty companies have what's called an obsolete part clause? I think it's important for agents to know this.
So yes, there are a lot of warranty companies that actually have an obsolete parts clause. And unfortunately, those are the companies that you don't want to work with. We do not have that in our plan. And I'll tell you, it's very important. I had a situation years ago where the neighbor actually had a situation with her oven and the part was no longer available. So they sent her a check for $20 for the part, but her oven would not work without that part. So she was then responsible for replacing the oven stove because it was combination. So you definitely, I mean, it's usually very clear as day right in their plan. So yeah, we do not have that in our plan.
Yeah. So going back to this unit here, if a component, let's say it's the A coil that fails, that's usually the first one that fails. It goes out and they're no longer making it and no longer fits. It means that when you don't have an obsolete part clause, they have to replace that whole unit because it's one and the same. Now, if they can find a part, obviously they're going to fix it. But to me, that's like could be a $2,000 repair to a $12,000 repair. So a big difference. So good to know that. So if you're not working with Wendy or some of our amazing Rockstar Old Republic reps, reach out to the rep that you are working with and just ask them that question. I think it's really important to know that for the benefit of your buyers. All right, last system, right? These are really popular now. When I first started this class, I would show this picture and people would be like, what the heck is this thing? So, and now of course, these are amazing. They're ductless mini splits. They are split apart. So again, since it's a mini split, it's a mini system, and you're going to have an outside unit and you're going to have an inside, what they call a head unit. And they can be different. Some of them are like this one. I have a sample here that mounts to the wall. Some can mount into the ceiling. Some actually can run some ductwork. But they're really, really efficient. They come originally from Japan. They use different technology. So they're really quiet, do a really nice job, but they're all electric, which means that it will never run gas on the heat. So you're going to get either an air conditioner or a heat pump. Those are the only two options when it comes to these. Various brands you'll see, just in my experience doing HVAC and all that, Mitsubishi is the top brand, but you're going to pay the most for it. And I'm thinking, well, Mitsubishi makes TVs and cars, and well, they make air conditioners too. Fujitsu is another great brand, and then Daikin, which is owned by Goodman. Actually, Daikin owns Goodman, but Daikin and Goodman are the same company. So those are the top three. They're all Japanese brands. After that, you take a step down, and it's going to be more like your LGs, your Samsungs. And then you're going to take another step down, what you find on Amazon or Wayfair, and those are just basically disposable Chinese-made products. I mean, they still work, but you're paying a certain price. But these are becoming more and more popular. So as agents, when you walk through, you might start seeing these. You might see them in like an area where maybe it's a great room. It didn't really heat and cool well. So they added an extra one of these in here. And it can work part and parcel with a forced air system like a split system or a gas pack. So question for Wendy again, I have a few. Because I know this is an issue. Do you guys cover ductless mini splits?
We sure do. We do.
How many units do you cover?
Actually, we have unlimited. We have no quantity amount, so it's very nice.
Yeah, so I think that's really important because some companies are starting to cover the ductless. And again, we're not doing this as a sales job for ORHP, but just know the difference, because the fact is that you might find that one company doesn't offer that. So if that's the case, know which companies do. And if a company only covers one or two systems, but you're dealing with a home with 3 or 4 systems or 5 systems, know that as well, because each of these systems are expensive. I mean, the ductless mini splits, technically you could probably buy them for $800 on Wayfair, but the real ones are $3,500 to $7,000 now, including installation. So they're not cheap, just like everything else in HVAC. It's just really been going up over the last few years. Also, dollar caps. Yes.
Sorry, we have a couple questions. I want to make sure we
please
get them too. Rachel asked, can you add more than one indoor unit to connect the outdoor unit?
So the answer is yes. It depends on the outside unit. So you can buy units that actually have connectors, and you can run like 5, 6, 7 units. Obviously, those units are larger and they're much more expensive. Most people usually do one unit for one inside like a register, or we call it head, or like a cassette. That's another way they would call it, as a cassette. But I know that when I was up in Washington State and Canada too, we would sell sometimes one that would run 3 different systems, and you can set temperatures differently in all of those 3 systems, and they'll come on based on the temperature of those rooms. So you can really zone out a system, a home, with those. But when you're dealing with multiple cassettes off of one system, the price goes like crazy high. They get very, very expensive very quickly because of the technology. And crazy enough, I'm just going to side note, Mitsubishi has one that actually will allow you to heat one area and cool another area off the same system. It's crazy, but that's called City Multi. But I priced it out and it was more expensive than probably the construction build itself. So very pricey. Another question.
What were the top 3 brands again?
Okay, so if you're going to be shopping, if you can, and I'll talk about the top brand also in HVAC as well, it's going to be Mitsubishi, Fujitsu, Daikin. So those are the top 3. Yeah, and the thing is that I always say it's not always such as the brand, it's the installers who put in the brand, but they're very particular on who gets to represent them. So when someone is actually a Mitsubishi installer, that typically means that they have a pretty good track record, because the fact is a lot of times they'll extend their warranties out extra because it's being actually installed by one of their top installers. So keep that in mind as well. All right. I want to show you this invoice. This used to scare my agents because it was $7,600 for a system. Now, if we see that price, we'd be like, sign me up. I'm building a house currently. I'm getting a buddy discount. I did a 4-ton heat pump. It is 16 SEER. It's a Goodman, so it's not like the most expensive brand. And I paid $17,000 for that system. That includes ductwork, obviously. And on a retail, that would be about $25,000 now. So not to show sticker shock, but these systems are getting extremely expensive very quickly. And the reason why is every time the federal government changes a SEER standard, prices jump 40%. During COVID, I know we focused on lumber, we focused on concrete, on the construction part of it. But if you looked at the top 3, HVAC was there as well. During COVID, we saw year over year 40, 50% price increases. So this price nowadays, $7,600, is a thing of the past. Be accustomed to paying anywhere between 12 and up. But here's my concern I have. If you're working with especially a first-time buyer and you don't do a warranty and something happens and they have to replace the entire system, this is what happens. They have to do Wells Fargo or some type of financing. Now, when interest rates were 2%, it's like, all right, so be it. Guess what? We just hit the highest interest rate as of this morning we've had in forever. 7 point, I think it's 2.3 on average. So if it's short-term financing now, we're talking 18, 20%. We're talking at $15,000 a car payment, a hefty car payment. So we don't want our clients to be house poor. So keep that in mind. And we'll talk about when to maybe look at different warranty plans to kind of make sure that you're protecting your buyer and you're protecting yourself after the close of escrow as well. So we're going to switch gears. Any more questions in the chat box there, Justin, before we go into refrigerant? Okay.
Hey, Troy, there was one section that we didn't go over. You had it on the slide, but then other people were asking questions from the chat.
Sure.
And it was about our dollar limit. What
Yes.
the
Oh, I didn't ask you that. Okay, yes. What is the dollar limit?
Yeah, that's really, really important. We have no dollar limit on our HVAC coverage, which is amazing. You will see most companies having a $2,000 to $2,500 limit on their HVAC coverage. And as you all know, if that's not going to cover all of the ACs in the home. And I mean, we do get everything at wholesale pricing. However, that's still not going to cut it. So I just wanted to make sure you all know that we have no quantity amount or no dollar cap on our HVAC coverage.
Yeah, actually a great point too, because yeah, if you're going to get a limit of $2,250, you may want to get into a time machine and travel back to 1995 to be able to install that system, because that's what they cost back in 1995 to maybe 2001 or 2002. But yeah, those prices are way long gone. You might be able to do like a repair on an A coil, that, you know, a little shaped coil inside and cover that, but that's about as far as you're going to get. So yeah, equipment's getting very, very expensive. And this is another thing that's getting expensive too. So if you notice here, we have R22, that's Freon. So we're going to talk about that first. We're going to talk about 410A, right? The savior for R22. Well, there's issues with that now too. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then now we have a brand new one called R454B. So things are changing even in this industry as well. So we're going to go through that a little bit and talk about the EPA. So whenever we say Freon, it's R22. It's actually Carrier's kind of coined phrase for R22. So like when you have the sniffles, you reach for a Kleenex. It's actually a tissue, right? But Kleenex is a brand name. If your child falls and hurts himself, we put on a Band-Aid. Well, that's Johnson & Johnson, right? It's actually a bandage. So R22 is Freon. By the way, Puron is also a Carrier brand name for 410A. So R22 is the old stuff. We want to call it the bad stuff, right? Because it was bad for the ozone. So what ended up happening to R22? And if you have a rep here on from Old Republic and you want this, I'll have the reps reach out to me and they can forward this information to you. This is the EPA document on 410A, sorry, R22. So if you notice here, just a couple dates here. In January 1st of 2020, we stopped making R22 altogether. But I just want to bring out a small point here because sometimes contractors will seize on that and misinformation to sell a client a new unit prematurely. It's in small print, but I'm going to read it. It says ban on remaining production, but you can still use recycled or stockpiled quantities. So does that mean that R22 is illegal? No. It just means they're not making it, but contractors can still use their stockpiles or go and have it recycled. And I'll show you an example of that here in a second. So R22 is really not going to be a real problem until January 1st, 2030. So we're still talking 7 years out. By that time, those systems, because they switched over to 410A around 2006, 2007, are going to be so old, they're going to be at their life expectancy anyway. So the government knew that. So when they gave us kind of these schedules, they kind of predicted the fact that this would not be as much of a hardship on the general public. But it is still a hardship because, as you know, real estate, right? During COVID, supply and demand. We had all these people wanting to buy houses, not enough houses for sale. What ended up having the price of houses? Well, they went through the roof. R22 is the same thing. Still a supply, but not a lot. But there's still a lot of R22 systems out there, so there's still a demand. So because of it, the price of R22 has gotten really expensive. So there are some alternatives. I'm not going to say that they're the best. I get mixed reviews, but here's one of them, TDX20 or Bluon. So there are products because manufacturers know that R22 has been phased out and they produce this and it's a drop-in replacement for R22 Freon, which means that they can go take out the rest of the R22 that's left over and then they can literally just pour this into the system, seal it back up again. The system fires up and it can continue to heat and cool. So this is not a be-all, end-all solution, but it's a lot better than having a contractor tell your client, let's say your seller, you know, you have R22, it's illegal, you need to replace the system. Or if you have a buyer who has an inspector and they get this idea that it's illegal, telling your seller, hey, you have to replace the system because it's illegal. No, it's not. I have an EPA document. I'm sending it to you. Read it. It's not an issue until 2030. And even at 2030, the system is still perfectly fine. We just can't do repairs on it. So if it's running and it doesn't break down, you're golden, you're good to go. So just want to show you a couple of little kind of tricks here. R22. And this, I know this because I was in the industry. Let's say Wendy, for example, since I can see her picture right now, has an older system. She lives in Phoenix and she's like, crap, I do not want to face another 118-degree summer for 60 days or whatever it was. I know I'm exaggerating. With an older system. I want to replace it. I want to put something new in that I can rely on. I don't have to worry about it. So she calls our company. My contract goes out there. The system's totally fine. So what they're going to do is they're going to replace it with a 410A system. But they have to pull out all the R22, but there's nothing wrong with it. So they have a Sharpie, they're going to write on that bottle, clean. And they're going to actually turn on the system and it's going to run all that refrigerant into the canister and then they're going to seal it up. And then they're going to put it on their truck. They got it for free. And then they're going to go down and I see Tara. Tara's just down the street. She's over in Scottsdale and they're going to sell it to her because she still has an R22 system. She had a small leak and she needs 2 pounds. So if the system's shot and they go out, they have another canister and they actually have it on Sharpie dirty. So they're going to put the dirty in there. That's the one they take to EPA. That's the one they break down. That's the one we're never going to see again. So just so you know, this idea that it's, they said it's recycled, right? That's recycled. That's stockpiled. Contractors knew this, they're getting it for free, they can sell it for a massive upgrade. And so because of it, you know, we're gonna see that that's just kind of fluff in their pockets. And we're gonna talk about price of refrigerant in just a second, Wendy, if it's okay with you. I wanna talk a little bit about Puron. I think my screen's kind of blocking this. So the latest and greatest and the best, the solution to everything was Puron. That's what they thought. But then they started realizing that Puron, yes, is maybe not so bad on the ozone layer, but it actually has a much more global warming potential. And so I have this right here. It says 1 pound of Puron or 410A is equal to 1 ton of carbon going into the atmosphere when it leaks out. And it makes sense because the fact is refrigerant is designed to hold heat, because that's how it works, right? It grabs the heat in your house and then it gets pushed out, and in place of it, you get air conditioning. Well, if it escapes, it grabs the heat and then it goes up. So because of this, now they're like, this was probably not the best decision. It wasn't well thought out. So this is the future that's coming. And I want to show you this as well. This is a printout. So in 2020, the AIM Act basically says that we're going to start a phase down now of 410A, which means it's the almost exact same thing that happened to R22. So now here we are in 2023, but in 2022, they decreased production by 10%. Next year, it's dropping 40%. 2029, it drops by 70%, 2034 by 80%, 2036, 85%. So you can see that it's the exact same thing. They're basically taking that faucet and squeezing it off. And now they want to do what's called Puron Advance, which is 454B. Another solution is 2 oils are mixing together, so it doesn't have that property where it grabs all the heat molecules. But, oh, by the way, there is an issue with this one because it's flammable. Now you're putting something flammable into your system, and most of the contractors are not licensed or know how to handle flammable material. So if you have kids and they want to go to a trade school, become HVAC technicians, because they're going to be our next millionaires in the next few years, because this is getting crazy and it's getting more and more expensive all the time. But because of this phase down of 410A, just like R22, we're now seeing that supply and demand and prices are going up. So again, this kind of phase down is really going to start kicking in January 1st, 2025. So we have another year and a half to kind of not think about it, but it's going to smack us in the face January 1st. And that's when we're going to see 410A really jump up in price, especially. So home warranty tip, Wendy, how much do you pay towards refrigerant? Because this is something I think would be very important for clients and your sellers and buyers to know moving forward.
So this is huge. So we have no dollar limit on the amount that we will cover for refrigerant. You will see there's only one other warranty company that does not have a limit, but the rest of them all have a $10 to $15 limit per pound. So correct me if I'm wrong, Troy, there's generally between 8 to 10 pounds of refrigerant in an AC unit. So if they have to replace a fan motor or a compressor, they have to deplete the system of the refrigerant and put brand new back in. And that's going to be very, very expensive if the company that your client chose is only covering $10 to $15 per pound. So that is huge, guys. We've seen it this summer anywhere from $275 to $350. Before it was about like $75 to $150. It's crazy. Everything has went up tremendously, and obviously they're able to charge those prices. So,
and the crazy thing is they got it for free somewhere. That's what's crazy. It's like they're going to charge your neighbor $3,500 for 10 pounds when the neighbor next to them, they got it for free. But it is what it is. It is part of the industry. I just wanted to be honest with you that it's going to be around, but it's just getting more and more expensive. So let's talk a little about one more thing, because the future is now when it comes to now the SEER rating. So SEER is a seasonal energy efficiency ratio, right? So this is kind of like miles per gallon on a car. The higher the number, obviously, the farther you can go without filling up with gas. So SEER, same thing, the higher the number, the less energy you're going to be consuming, so your energy bill goes down. So where is the future currently? So you can see here, 2023 on the top of this chart, we switched. We went to SEER 2, it's no longer SEER, and it jumped from in the north to basically, the south to 15 SEER. So this is why we had basically January 1, price increases about 40% overnight. And the reason why I say that is because what ends up happening is, well, what happened to all the 14 SEER? We can still use it. Well, your Pulte's of the world, K&V's, Toll Brothers, they know it's coming down and they know the price increase. So what they do is they basically buy all product, warehouse it, and stick it in their homes moving forward, because they're grandfathered in. So literally, if I would have bought my HVAC equipment in December instead of February, I would have saved a ton of money, but I didn't know at the time. So just so you know, we are now, because we are in the South and Southwest region, 15, and it's a SEER 2. So what is SEER 2? Well, the original SEER rating is 15, but when they actually properly tested these, they realized that the HVAC companies weren't really being honest when it came to their miles per gallon. Just like a lot of car industries, you know, these car companies got in trouble. Same thing. They said, "Oh, your car's going to get 40 miles a gallon." Never got it. Well, it's because they lied. Well, it's the same thing. Unfortunately, these companies said, "Yeah, these are 14 SEER systems. We're basically meeting the standards." Then they put it into a control environment. And they realized, no, they're like 12.8, 13.1. So they actually changed and put a more stringent standard on there, and that's why the prices went up. So really, it's the end consumer that actually has to pay the price. So if you notice here, it's 15 SEER. Or technically with the new SEER standards, our 15 SEER is 14.3. So we really didn't seem to go up, but these are a little bit more accurate ratings. And you can see here, we're in the Southwest predominantly. Those of you from Denver, well, you're lucky because you're only at 14 SEER, because I know there's a few people on from Colorado. So does this save us a lot of money? Not really. So if you notice, this is a great chart. It shows cost savings. 14 SEER to 15 SEER, the difference is 5%. So you're paying a lot more for basically minimal energy savings, but it's cumulative, right? So if you have, let's say, 100,000 homes on a grid and everybody finds a way to become 5% more energy efficient, that means you can keep on adding homes to the grid without actually having to upgrade the grid. So it is motivated by that mainly. It's kind of like the cumulative effect that benefits all. But the fact is we are feeling it in the pocketbook. So any questions on that before we move into knowing how old the system is?
Troy, a question
Yep.
from Vegas. There's an agent asking if you need a permit to get your HVAC replaced.
So usually you have to do, you're gonna have to pull a mechanical and a low volt permit if you're doing a full system replacement. Low volt is typically going to be for your thermostat wiring, and mechanical is going to cover the electrical portion of it and possibly the hookup for the gas and also the unit itself. So if someone's trying to give you a unit and they're not going to pull the permits, probably look for a new contractor.
For sure. And then are contractors still purchasing R22 in Mexico as well?
I haven't heard that, but I know that I could see that maybe smuggling it over along with some methamphetamine. I don't know, but it is possible. But I think it's actually going to be a global thing that they're really pushing for. So if it is, it's probably going to be very short-lived. I would think that it says it's really the import ban. So if they're bringing it up from Mexico, they're basically going to have to hide it in the vehicle to bring it up. Yeah. So any other questions?
Nope.
Awesome. All right. Good crowd so far. Let's go ahead. I'm going to show you this app now. So if you hadn't had a chance, I'm going to show you just a couple quick pictures. And we have 15 minutes, so we're going to fly, guys, because I don't want to hold you up. So this, is going to show you, and when you download this app, HVAC manufacturer's data is all we care about. These are for inspectors. We don't care about the other ones. But I'm going to show you, based on this app and also a little bit more information from the manufacturer's label, 5 things. And these are all very helpful for you as an agent. SEER rating. What is the SEER rating on a system? So more or less, what is the miles per gallon? What's the size? You know, is it a 2-ton, 3-ton, 4-ton, 5-ton? Is it a heat pump or air conditioner? Again, what is the age based on that app? And then also I'm going to show you that every label, as long as you can read it, shows you the refrigerant that's in there as well. So let's go ahead. I'm going to start here with my old unit. This was North Carolina. And I really like this unit because one, the labels are easy to read, but I just want to bring out one point here with Trane. So Trane is also American Standard. They play in their own sandbox, and they don't play nice with any other company like Carrier or Goodman or what have you. If a part breaks in a Trane, your Trane guy has to go to the Trane dealership to get the Trane part to put into your Trane system. If the part's not there, you have to wait. And that brings up another point too, because I think there's a little bit of confusion with warranty. Warranty is designed for budget protection, is not an emergency service. Now, what does that mean? They're going to do the best to get people out there as quickly as possible, but sometimes they run into the situation where they go for a part and it has to come in from Georgia or from, you know, the Midwest or Texas. And so you have to wait, and there's nothing they can do about it. So just always keep that in mind and let your clients know that. It's like, look, warranty, they're going to do the best they can to get people out there immediately. But it's more saving you on the pocketbook, because sometimes when you have these type of systems, We're all waiting. The only difference is that I'm paying a trade call fee or I'm paying the full price. I'd rather pay a trade call fee and still wait instead of pay the full price. But this is a train. This is my old system. And I just want to show you how easy their labels are. American Standard's the same way. So you can see how old is the system. I don't even have to use the app because it shows right on there. It's from 2012. Is it a heat pump or air conditioner? I don't have to look that up. It says right there, air conditioner. What type of refrigerant? So here, HFC 410A. So this is that Puron 410A. So it's not R22. And then up here, the XR15, the 15 stands for the SEER rating. That's 15 SEER. And then lastly, I just want to show you this number here, the 036. The 36 stands for the tonnage, is 3 tons. But 36, 3 tons makes no sense, right? So here's the scale. So tonnage basically is really old terminology for new technology, because what basically 1 ton represents is a ton of ice that melts over 24 hours. So if you could put that somewhere in your home with a fan and blow on it, that's supposed to cool your home. Because back in the day, we had ice chests. We didn't have refrigerators. We didn't have refrigerant. We had ice houses, right? Where the trains would pull up and get in. And someone's driving on my screen right now. And so basically, the tonnage, if you can see here, when you see these numbers, the 12, 18, 24, always divided by 12, and that's going to give you the tonnage. Not a big deal, but if you walk into a home and it's 2,000 square feet and it has a 1.5 ton system, it's going to be a problem. So you may want to bring that up and have an inspector definitely go out there and look at that. So let's go ahead and see another label. This is American Standard, which is Train. You're going to see here the manufacturer's date, 2007. So that was a split over a year, 2006, 2007. It could have R22, could have 410A. And sure enough, this one here is one of the newer first years they came out with 410A, because we can see that there. Heat pump, same thing. It tells you it's not an air conditioner, it's a heat pump. So this is going to run in the summer and the winter time. This is a yin and yang system. And again, 15I stands for the SEER, 15 SEER, which is also right here in the 5. And that 36 divided by 12 is going to be 3 tons. So we know this is a 3-ton 2007 410A heat pump that's 15 SEER. So that's all the information that we really need to know as a real estate agent if we want to know that. So what happens if we don't have a train? But that's the only company that has a label that's easy to read. Well, this is where that app comes into play. Justin, is there a way for you to get that line off of there? Or am I the only one seeing that?
No, I think everybody sees it, but it had to have been because nobody else has control. So I think on the here, let me see this. You can
okay, no worries. We'll keep on going. Just I don't want to distract myself and others, but
there we go.
Awesome. Okay, so HVAC manufacturer's date, again, that's what we're going to look at. This is what it looks like again in the App Store. There's your logo. This is the Google Play Store. Again, free app. Agents who basically download it have told me that they'll use it multiple times in a week. So it's a very cool app that you can use. And just so you know, we have a lot of funky brands because it's fairly limited on that app. So this is an awesome website. It's called building-center.org. This here lists every single brand of air conditioner known to man. I think when I looked under D, there was 48 brands under D alone. So it has every single one, and it shows you how to read the labels so you can get the information. So if you get out there and you go, I'm looking at a unit that's a Singer. I know Singer makes sewing machines, but I guess it makes air conditioners too. You'll actually find out how to know how old that is based on this. Another one was Maytag. Maytag's another brand. It's not listed in the app, but it is here. So I'll tell you that. So great resource along with that actual app itself. So here's a good example. Goodman, #1 producer of HVAC equipment besides Carrier, and their labels are horrible because you can't read anything. So one thing I can see here is factory charge is 410A right there. So we know it can't be super, super old, but the age is actually built into the serial number here. And some of them use letters, some use weeks of the year, but that app, and I'll show you an example of it, is like that decoder ring when we were kids from the Cracker Jack box. So we open up the app, we just click on HVAC manufacturer's date, and then we hit select manufacturer and go to Goodman. Now, what we use is the serial number, not the manufacturer's number, but the serial number. And when I hit calculate, it tells me that that system was from September 2016. And we can see that now. The 16 stands for the year. The 9 stands for September. But don't go off of that because every brand and manufacturer is different. So now if we look over here at the model number, that's what's going to tell you if it's a heat pump. It's going to tell you the size, is going to tell you the efficiency. So this one here, the 14 stands for 14 SEER. The 18 stands for 1.5 tons. It does not tell you if it's a heat pump or air conditioner, but it's really easy. Just type in Goodman and the model number if you want. And when I go down here, Goodman Manufacturing, and I click on that, it tells me it's a split heat pump. So this is not an air conditioner, it's a heat pump. So if you have a buyer, just let them know, hey, this is a heat pump. So just so you know, it's going to come on in the wintertime. It's going to come on in the air in the summertime and create air conditioning. And by the way, you may want to look at what a defrost cycle is in the wintertime, so you don't call me on Christmas Day freaking out. And in my heating class, I show you exactly what that is. But if you've never had a heat pump before and it does it for the first time, it really is scary. So good to know that for them. So now when we look at that label, we have all the information. We know it's 410A. We know, again, based on that app, it's from 2016, so it's not a super old system. We know it's fairly efficient, 14 SEER, and we know it's a little 1.5 tons. So obviously this house, because rule of thumb is usually 500 square feet per ton, it's gonna be about a 700 square feet area that is cooling. So if it's a 2,000 square foot area, okay, we got an issue here. We probably want to get an inspector or even an HVAC guy out there to look at it to see what's going on. Because the last thing you want to do is have your buyer move into a home and the unit is grossly undersized, because it's just not going to cool the house. And you'll just get those phone calls, which we don't want. So here's another example of a Goodman. And as I mentioned, we got 7 minutes. We're going to fly. This here, is it a split system or is it a package unit? Well, you notice the sheet metal? Package unit, right? Because it's connected. It's not separate from the home. And on here, I'm just going to go real quickly through here. Because of that serial number, we're going to use that in the app. And then we see here it's 410A, so it's not super old. And knowing already with that app, it's going to be 2017 November. And sure enough, if I test that, I go to HVAC manufacturer's date, select the brand Goodman, type in that serial number and calculate it. And sure enough, November 2017. This is a good example because it's a newer unit on an older home. Now, the benefit is if you're representing the buyer and you're showing homes, they really like the property, they like the home, but there needs some major updates, but they have a new system. That's already an investment that's been made. That's probably $12,000 or $15,000. Is it maybe worth to make an offer on that and realize that maybe it's good you can actually shift some of those funds to update that kitchen or that bathroom or the flooring, things that they don't like? The nice thing is it's going to be an efficient system. It's a newer system, even though it's an older home. That investment's already been made for them. So again, knowing the age of these systems sometimes can help you with your buyers as they're kind of trying to compare different homes. So again, going back to the model number, this is what's going to tell us if it's a heat pump or air conditioner. The 14 stands for the SEER, so it's 14 SEER. The 30 stands for the size, so it's 2.5 tons. So probably that's going to be about a 1,250 square foot home. Newer construction, you can push it to about 750 square feet because we have better insulation, better windows. But the older homes, probably 500 square feet is the maximum. So when I use that, again, Goodman and then that model number, and I type it into Google search, and I go down to Google manufacturing, it comes up, that's a packaged, not a gas pack, but a packaged heat pump. So that does not use natural gas to heat the home. So again, it's just now you can tell them this is a heat pump. Again, same thing. It's going to work in the summer. It's going to work in winter. So let's see here. I'm going to skip over this one, but this is a Lennox. I just want to show you a couple things on this label I got. Do you see this here? It doesn't say Freon, but it says contains HCFC22. That's another way to say R22. So that has Freon. It's obviously older. And then the serial number, how do you read that one, right? So again, just flipping through here and putting in the serial number, selecting Lennox, shows you it's from 2006. So again, that split over year was 2006, 2007. This was the last of the Mohicans of the R22 systems on the market. Let's go past that. All right. So I'm going to bring in, again, Wendy here, because I think this is really important. It's selecting the right warranty, okay? So I'm in title and escrow. I'm in the short game, right? My goal is to get you to close on the day we're scheduled to close. And we disperse funds. I get paid, you get paid, your seller gets their proceeds, your buyers get the keys, everything is great. The short game, right? Putting. But in golf, there's two different games. I know we have a lot of people from Phoenix and Vegas and Tucson on, and all of them have famous golf courses. You play golf two ways, right? You have a short game, and what's the other game? It's the long game. Right? So this is that building of relationships, keeping those clients wanting to come back for referrals and for more. And this is where the home warranty to me comes in, because the day escrow closes, we also send a check to Old Republic. Old Republic gets a check, and now they're married to your client for at least a year. If they renew, for years to come. So make sure you select well when it comes to your long game, because the fact is, if you do have some of these dollar limits, obsolete part clauses, limits on how many systems are covered, you might find that that bridge is burned between you and that client because they blame you possibly for the problems they have. One thing I learned doing home warranty for 25 years is hot people are mean people. It's just, there's no way around it. And I'm the same way. I'm grumpy when it's hot. So if someone doesn't have air conditioning and it's 117 degrees, let's say in Phoenix, or 108 in Vegas, or 105 in Tucson, they're just not happy. And so we want to make sure that we get them the right coverage. So a pro tip, Wendy, this is the last question I'm going to throw at you. And then we'll open up questions after. And then if you want, you can unmute and ask me questions and kind of pick away. When should you upgrade a warranty? I'm going to give a scenario after you answer that question.
So, yeah, in my opinion, everyone should get the platinum protection. It's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you get the package? It's only $65 more in Arizona than the middle of the line plan, which is our ultimate plan. So you have up to 60 days after the close of escrow to upgrade your plan, but you can't upgrade it after you have a situation going on, right? And now we consider that a pre-existing condition. So always just get the platinum protection, because you get up to $1,000 in modifications, which is huge. And another thing is, I just had an agent from Prescott call me yesterday. His daughter has a home in Vegas. Water heater went out. It is a 4-year-old water heater. It's still covered under the manufacturer. So the manufacturer is going to take care of covering the actual water heater, but the labor was like $800. So they're responsible for the labor. The platinum covers labor on items that fall under manufacturer's warranty. So again, it's a no-brainer not to get the platinum. It's not that much more, and it's worth every penny.
And I know I saw Judy was on here, Judy Olea. So Judy is a client of mine. Thank you, Judy, for joining us. She called me this past week. So she had a situation. I'm just going to give you the scenario because this might happen to you, where a contractor, an HVAC contractor, will go out and they do an inspection on a unit. A lot of them will offer like a really low price, $39 for free or whatever. Remember, in this world, nothing is for free. So they proposed to the sellers of Judy, and Judy was representing both seller and buyer, that this is an older system, and that even though it's working, more than likely they should replace it at a tune of $19,000. What does that do when the buyer hears a bill for $19,000 and the seller's like, look, it's working, I can't pay that? It's almost like a guaranteed deal killer, right? So keep that in mind. So instead of going down that path and letting the contractor, I think, really take advantage of the seller and the buyer because of the situation, they know that this is kind of a time where people tensions are high. Get a platinum plan. Now, Judy was concerned, well, what if I got the platinum plan and there's limits? That's the great thing about it. As long as the system's working at the time of close, they're going to cover the equipment, the labor, the modifications, the haul away, the recapture of the refrigerant, a crane if necessary. So there's a lot. Now, maybe they might have to pay something, but it's going to be minuscule in comparison to what the cost would have been. So just keep that in mind. So if you have a situation, best to do is reach out to your executives like Wendy and Tara and Kim and also Stacia, because the fact is they have years in the industry. They've been through these things before, and they can kind of guide you and tell you what you can do to make sure that you're staying safe. You keep that deal together, sellers get their proceeds, buyers basically move into the home, and they have that peace of mind, that budget protection, I guess you could say. All right, so that was all I had. I have more stuff, but we just don't have time. But lastly, this was a free class. I always say at the beginning, I didn't do it this time. If you didn't learn one thing, I'm going to give you your money back. But show of hands, or if you want to put in the chat, did anybody learn anything today? At least something that you feel was helpful in your industry? Because if that's the case, I did my job. All right, Tara says yes, yes. Okay, good. All right.
Can I ask a question before we go?
Sure. Yeah, Jocelyn.
Okay, so we have a question that, so if there was a unit installed without a permit, would a warranty company still insure it?
That's a great question. I'm going to let one of the Old Republic reps take a crack at that. Wendy, Tara, Kim, who wants to do it? Okay.
So I'll go ahead and take it, guys. So like, for example, a water heater, right? Water heaters back in the day, gas water heater, they were you were allowed to have them installed and on the ground, right? Now that is a code violation. You can no longer have a gas water heater on the ground. It has to be raised 16 inches on a concrete slab. So if it's not pointed out and all is good, you know, the home inspector should point that out. I mean, I know permits for water heaters, it's important that you get it for your homeowner's insurance, because if you don't have a permit and that water heater starts on, you know, catches on fire, I've heard that sometimes they won't cover the fire, any damage from a fire if you didn't get the permit. So I would highly, highly recommend that your client get the permit, because I don't know what type of system it is. I would do some more investigation on it. And what area are you in?
Vegas.
Vegas. Okay,
Yeah.
we can have one of our.
Yeah, we have Stacia and we have Francine actually on from Old Republic.
Hi,
So you have
guys.
two
I would
amazing
say-
reps.
It depends on if it was installed correctly. Nobody's going back to look and see if a permit was pulled before. But if it wasn't installed correctly, that's where it gets gunky and there's a possibility that it would not be covered. It just, you know, because if you can look at it and you can see that it wasn't installed, you know, like a regular person could see that it's not installed properly or that there's something missing, or a simple mechanical test shows that it doesn't work, then no, it's not going to be covered. But nobody's going back and looking at a history of a history of permits to see. So it's not a cut and dried yes or no answer. It's very case by case basis on that.
As they say, no, anybody got no time for that, because the thing is, they're too busy trying to basically fix things. They don't have time. I know warranty companies don't have time to research permits and stuff like that. So same thing. If it was working and it was installed correctly, even if it doesn't have a permit, they're not going to look it up. They're just going to go, okay, needs to be replaced. Let's replace it. You know, let's get the contractor involved. I know Old Republic has way too many contracts, way too many people, way too many service claims to be able to take time to do that. If you want, Carol, let me put my email in here. Okay, I'm gonna put my email in just in case any of you have issues with the app. I can always help you with getting you that link. Okay, so my email is on there, Troy H at ROC Title. Oh, sorry, I just did that to one person.
Hey, Troy.
Yep.
It looks like that app on the Google Play Store is designed for older Android phones if you have an Android phone. So there's not an option to download it.
So another reason why we need to go to iPhones, right? Yeah, I mean, I tested mine today and I actually noticed that they have now Singer, which is a company that makes sewing machines on there, and they added Duquesne, which makes barbecues on there. So they're adding more apps on the iPhone version. So I'll do some digging and see if we have an updated version of that for you, if that's all right, Garrett. And if you can reach out to your account executive, if you know your account executive for Old Republic, I will send them some information. Today, I'll send them the EPA document, and I'll send them also the links that I have if there's something new for that Android for you, if you'd like. Okay. Cool. Any other questions? I'm sorry, there's a lot of stuff on the chat here. So, oh, here's one. Judy Olea, Wendy, what are you seeing in the HVAC industry right now?
What are we seeing as far as they're super duper busy? You know, we are seeing, you know, last year we really, really felt the whole COVID, you know, part delays. I mean, it was really a nightmare. This year has been pretty tough too, but not as bad as last year. For some reason, the manufacturers are only giving these contractors a few like parts, and like they're not giving them a whole slew of them like they used to. Like they used to just be able to go to a parts supply store and pick up whatever they needed, but now they're limiting them, each contractor, how much they can get per month. It's really weird. Yeah, is that what you were wanting to know?
Francine
Yes.
had a point. Okay, and Francine.
Yes. So, hey, everybody. So, you know, this is amazing class, Troy. You did this before and like years ago, but a couple of things about the air conditioning in any of our hot areas. One of the things impacting every one of us is the heat wave across the country. So the parts are not being made fast enough to supply us. And that's the part that we don't look at sometimes, is globally what's going on. This warming trend, floods get rid of parts. I mean, there's a lot happening all at one time. So the parts are actually not being made fast enough to keep up with the demand. So when you're telling your clients in the summer about what to do, they should be, if they're in a desert area, getting portable coolers, having a backup plan, knowing that even if Old Republic is replacing the system, which is freaking amazing, it can take time. Even though your reps, Arizona and Nevada, we will jump on and help you and try and see how we can rush it. There is just so much that can be done. So remember this, protect your clients, set the right expectations. And when you do your close, you have up to 60 days from the close of escrow to upgrade that coverage. Let your client know that it's in our contract, and make sure to take our 2-year plans, because then they're locked into the first year rate, the current trade call fee, and the coverage, because rates do go up at renewal. And that's something that most people are not paying attention to. And everybody on this call is very experienced. Wendy's, thank you for being on here. And Troy, it's great to actually see you. It's wonderful. But remember, it doesn't matter winter, spring, summer, or fall. Remember the rep at OHP that you have to call.
And then just two more little, I think, nuggets, if I can just drop with you too. First of all, air conditioning systems are not really designed to run when it's 120 degrees out. They're not designed that way. So when a system is running 24/7 with excessive heat, they will break. So there's going to be a higher probability of breakage, and we're seeing that now. Whereas at one time we didn't. But one other thing, if you're in the market and you're looking for an HVAC contractor, there is a little bit of a litmus test I can suggest to you. So if a contractor can offer Amana, the brand Amana, that is like the Cadillac of Goodman. They're typically really good contractors. And the reason why is Amana is considered like a retrofit. So they're not so much new construction, but they're a retrofit type of a system. They come with a lifetime guarantee as long as you live in the home. So because of that, they can't have contractors that have high recall rates. Because if they do a lousy install and they have to go back and do repairs, it costs Amana that money. So not to say that you have to use Amana, but a lot of times if there's a contractor that sells Amana, Goodman, Bryant, right? Give those guys a call, give those guys a shot, because they're kind of, to me, in the industry, the litmus test when it comes to who's good and who's not. And so I know that because I have a friend who did Goodman for years, and finally Goodman reached out to them and said, would you represent Amana because you never get callbacks? He's like, wow, that was a huge compliment. That's probably the biggest compliment you can get. So just keep that in mind, because sometimes as agents, we're shopping for units as well, right? So make sure that, if we're going to shop, we want to shop right, because it's a lot of times not the unit, it's the installer that installs the unit that will make it so it lasts, the 20, 25 years, which is what we. So any other questions? I know we're a little bit.
We have one more. We have
Sure,
one more
yeah.
question.
Absolutely, fire away.
So is the permit cost included in, what was it?
In the warranty?
In the warranty?
Yeah, that's
So
actually a pretty good question. When do you want to answer that? Because I think that's universal with Old Republic, right? Because permits
Yeah,
are included in the
well,
ultimate.
It is, but I'm going to let the girls in Vegas answer because this is their customer. So go ahead, Stacia or Francine.
Hey, Jocelyn. So our ultimate and our platinum will cover up to $250 per claim for permits. It'll cover $250 per claim for code upgrades, $250 per claim for cranes if necessary, and $100 per claim for haul-away. So if we're pulling, I had a claim last year where both ACs went out, both heat exchangers. It required several permits. $250. There was an out-of-pocket expense beyond that $250 for the policyholder, but $250, which normally you don't have all your systems go out, knock on wood, but in that case, it'll cover up to $250.
Okay, I'm going to jump in there though, because the thing is, like, when systems go out, they actually tend to actually go out together. So I'm going to give you an illustration here. I always like to go back to the vehicle. If your right headlight goes out in your vehicle and you replace the right headlight, 2 weeks later, what happens to the left headlight? It goes out. Marketing 101, this is what I learned, planned obsolescence. Systems are designed for a certain life cycle. If it wasn't, then these manufacturers would not be in business. So if you ever are in a situation where you're the buyer's agent or even the listing agent and one of the units is new and there's another original unit next to it, first thing I would do is negotiate that warranty. And exactly what Stacia happened to her. If one goes out, a lot of times within that first year, the other one goes out. If not, keep on renewing your warranty because more than likely you're going to be buying a second unit or a third unit or a fourth unit. So that's, and that, you know, that happened to us in California. Our water heater went out and then they had bulk trash pickup days. So we hauled that water heater out. I looked down the street and everybody had a water heater sitting on that curb because all of them went out probably within months of each other because they were planned to be that way. So.
Hey, you guys, we don't want to keep you all, but listen, if you have further questions, please reach out to your sales rep. We will be more than happy to answer any questions unless we want to take one more question.
Yep, I have a question here. It's a good question.
Okay.
Is that okay? It's why do we put ACs on the roof in AZ? Well, one, if you're in a really bad neighborhood, it makes it a lot harder for them to steal. But that's usually not the reason. The reason is because we have package units and we're slab on grade. So there's no way to put the ductwork into the foundation. And typically in hotter climates, you want the air to flow down because air conditioning is heavier than heat, right? Heat rises, cold air falls. So if you put, like, for example, a package unit on the roof and you put all the ductwork into the attic, it falls down into the home, cooling it. That's why a lot of times when you build a home and you have a split system where you have the furnace, it's more than likely going to be up a lot of times in the attic. And again, same reason, or they'll have a trunk that goes up into the attic and then they flow the air through the home because they mainly want air conditioning and that falls. But as I said, sometimes in really bad neighborhoods, they put it on the roof because it makes it a lot harder to steal because that does happen as well. Scary as it is, but people are going just for the copper coils, sadly enough. Yeah.
Hey, it's
We'll do that.
Francine. I just wanted to, could I just really throw something in? When we were talking about those limits and Stacia was 100% right, it's really important to know that there's a per occurrence and a plan limit. So like on the code violation and ultimate, it's $250 for the plan year, where a crane is per occurrence. A permit, it's a per occurrence, meaning if I show up today to do the permit on the water heater, it's $250 for that occurrence. The next time I have to come up and there's a permit needing to be pulled, it's that next occurrence. So there's that stipulation. It is spelled out in our contract, so it's really important to see. And then something else, missing parts is just not covered in our contracts, no matter which plan you have.
Okay, and there's another question from Anna Martinez. And by the way, just before we answer this question, just
Hi,
so
Ann.
you know, we have scheduled for, I think it's October, Justin, my plumbing class. We're going to get into water heaters. We're going to get into polybutylene. So if you've ever lost a deal over poly, we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about second floor laundry rooms because people who have families and they see that sometimes freak out because they're like, oh my gosh, this can destroy the house because catastrophic floods a lot of times occur when you have upstairs laundry. So I'm going to show you technology, how to do that. And in the wintertime, we're going to do a heating class. Heating class is exactly the same, but totally different from the AC class. We're going to get more into like how to protect your clients with new technology for carbon monoxide, how to basically, again, determine the age of a furnace, things such as that. It's a great class. As I said, it's different content, but stay tuned because we'll probably pair with Old Republic to do that class as well in the near future. So there is a question from Anna. It says, according to a website, if you didn't purchase your home less than 30 days ago, you can't buy a warranty. Is that true? So who wants to speak on that?
I do.
Okay, go for it, Francine.
So with the real estate division, if you are in a resale, you can buy it at any time. If you don't even live, if you haven't gone through a resale, your relationship with your AE rep is going to get you a home warranty, our home warranty. So if you are, so what the question was about buying, if you don't buy it within the first 30 days after the close, was that what I heard?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so you don't have to buy it in the first 30 days. You can buy it 4 months later, 6 months later, a year later, but make sure that you order it. And even on the toolbox, you can order it, I believe, up to 4 months after. It's just that there will be a 30-day waiting period when you pay the plan, if it's not paid within the first 30 days from the close. So a lot of our clients are wanting to buy the warranty outside of the close. That's fine. Make sure the order's set up correctly, whether you're doing it online or however you're set up to do your orders in. And then
make sure that they understand if they're going to call in the credit card, we have a live support team for that. They do it within that first 30 days, we can start the plan at the close of escrow. Now, if something broke already, let's say they bought it the 28th day, they paid it, we backdate it, but there's already a failure, we don't cover that failure because it already broke before the contract started.
All right, and I want to answer one more question. Maybe we'll just wrap it up, Justin, because I know we're way over time here. Callie had a really good question. Did a house had on the Benzer something to do with the water heater being on the floor? So she got the platinum plan. So just so you know, if you have a Benzer and something's not to code, typically it will grandfather in until you have to actually replace it and pull permit. So once you replace or pull that permit to replace a water heater, then you have to raise it up. But you can't call like a warranty company and say, hey, I have a water heater, it's on the floor, I got the platinum, raise it up for me. No, it's once the system has to be replaced, then all of a sudden the new standards kick into place. So just keep that in mind. But again, when you see those weird water heaters, you're like, I know for a fact that that's not to code. And on my plumbing class, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to show you examples of what's not to code. That will help you to maybe trigger that exactly what you have here is get the best plan. So when that water heater does go out, that cost to raise it up, that cost to modify it, the cost to pull those permits are included in the price. So your client's not just basically having to cover all those additional costs. That does help out a lot. So I think we pretty much covered all of it. I just want to say thank you, everyone. If you can do me a favor and give the feedback to your reps for Older Public. I know they did a great job of getting, I think it was close to 90 people on today. That's a huge compliment to myself and to the reps. We really appreciate it. It's a lot of time to take out of your schedule in an afternoon. Please support your reps. If you have not worked with ROC Title before, reach out to your local account executive. And Justin, do you have any following closing remarks? I know you always have your little tagline, which I always enjoy.
No, not just I want to say thank you to the Old Republic team and partnering with us. We really do appreciate it to bring more value to our agents as a group. So we appreciate you guys. And just like what Troy said, if you have not or on your next contract, please make sure to write ROC Title in there. We would love to give you celebrity treatment, both you and your clients. So we really appreciate everybody and cannot wait for the next training. So have a great weekend.
We'll see you in escrow.
See you in escrow.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Justin. We appreciate you both so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right, I'll send you all you guys that information we need. Okay.
okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.